Well, it seems that nobody tried to beat Plants vs Zombies 2 with only ice plants, so I have to be the first one because I'm an Iceberg, an iconic PVZ2 ice plant. It is the second challenge on my channel, which I want to make even better than the previous one, so I hope you enjoy it. But before we start, let's begin with the rules of this challenge. First, I can only use ice plants and no sunflowers. Second, no leveling up, and third, no power-ups. My rules aren't so strict, but I did my best to stick to them. Without further ado, let's begin our challenge. So, our journey began with a few tutorial levels that didn't contain any ice plants, but they gave us a chance to try a delicious taco. Unfortunately, that was the last time we tried it, so we have to move back in time to try it again. And that's how we appeared in ancient Egypt. Until day 4, we continued to learn this game and its features, but after beating day 5, we unlocked the most important plant of our adventure, and that is the Iceberg, the most important ice plant in the game. It is the Undying Classic and the nickname of my channel. With that been done, we have officially started our challenge. However, day 6 was the conveyor belt level, which we can't beat with only Iceberg, so that's a good chance to tell some good things. Did you know that monkeys enjoy snowfalls? The Japanese macaques are also known as the snow monkeys, so I'm not the only lover of snow on this planet. Day 7 contained lots of camels, like really a lot, and my main plant is a snow pea, which is bad at destroying the camel friends. Don't forget that the only difference between the snow pea and pea shooter is the freezing ability, as they have the same damage output. That already sounds painful, but it didn't stop me from beating the level. On day 8, I was annoyed by the Tomb Raider zombie who spawned a ton of graves on my wonderful lawn. I couldn't forgive that, so I had to destroy all of them. Fortunately, that was an easy level. Day 9, it's time for snowballs. The mistletoe is a great plant, but the sunk cost is too high for me, so I can't even pay my bills for this month. However, thanks to my low-cost buddy who throws everyone around, I was able to save enough sun to purchase a single mistletoe who became the main character of the level. Everything was going wrong on day 10 because my Cold Snapdragon lagged a bit and his animation didn't play correctly. Yet, it didn't affect the damage output, so that's not a huge problem, at least for now. On day 11, I had to play with the pre-picked plants for me, so that's a good chance to tell you a good story. Ancient Egypt is a great world, filled with an interesting and unique content, but I still miss the atmosphere of 2013, when there were no gargantuars, no zombies, just pure hardness combined with an amazing key system. That was a good time. Day 12 was an interesting one because it was the first time we stuck with the Pharaoh zombie, so I wanted to test my snow beast against the walking box. Fortunately, I was able to beat that ancient coffin thanks to my new pal, the Frostbite, who is actually the newest plant in the family. If you like ice plants, that would be a great addition to your collection. On day 13, I understood how overpowered the ice shroom is, because it can one-shot a regular zombie. I guess I need to save him for the critical cases where I can't even beat a level without the ice shroom. That dude is a killing machine. Day 14 was just a usual level with a ton of different zombies and lots of graves. My main tactic for this challenge is kinda simple. It's a good old combination of Iceberg and snow peas, which allows me to save enough sun to prepare the defense for every lane on my lawn. Now we are one day closer to eating a delicious taco once again. Wait, banana phone? I like bananas. That's about day 15, on which we had to protect some sunflowers that were planted on the banana cells. That was the level of my dream, because for the first time in this challenge I had enough sand to build something better than a few columns of snow peas. This time I decided to beat that level using only mistletoes, and it worked so well that I was able to plant 5 of them by the end of the level. Day 16 was pretty boring, so that's a good chance to tell you another interesting fact. Did you know that the largest desert in the world is the Antarctic Polar Desert? Yes, Antarctica, which is covered with ice and snow, is the largest desert in the world. On day 17, my boy Iceberg controlled the column of cold snapdragons to do their work correctly, because they needed a boss who told them what to do, and Iceberg was the perfect plant for that role. Still, the animation was broken, but that didn't stop me from finishing the level. This will be the first last stand, there will be more lasts to come. With these wise words of Crazy Dave, we entered our first last stand level. Here I didn't prepare anything special except for the ice bloom, which sometimes helped me to stop huge groups of camels. I think that the camels were scared of my new ice blocks. Day 19. It's forbidden to plant anything on Dave's slime colonies. Wait, is that a secret ingredient of his taco? I don't want to know that. Besides, the level was quite easy and only buckethead zombies could make it a bit harder. Day 20. The taco is closer than ever. They still wanted me to defend those sunflowers planted on the banana cells, and I needed to use that opportunity. I decided to play with only mistletoes once again, because I love snowballs way more than bananas. Day 21 went pretty smoothly, as it was beaten with the help of the Frostbite, which randomly turns zombies into ice cubes. Oh, what a great reference to Minecraft, as someone needs to eat ice cubes, just like I do every summer because it's really hot in my region. On day 22 I had to fight with even more tanky zombies, and there were many of them. Yet it was a good hardness, a needed one. No zombie spam, just a combination of various enemies that try to eat your brains. The nostalgic feeling doesn't want to leave me, as each location reminded me of my childhood days when I spent hundreds of hours playing Plants vs Zombies 2, and each world was pretty special for me, with a unique design and zombie combination. Sometimes it's really hard to describe my feelings. Day 23 was a fight against the Gargantuar, which I won thanks to my favorite Iceberg Ledges, which didn't let the giant enter my lawn, and Snow Peas did the rest of the work to destroy the Egyptian Garg. Finally, day 24, my favorite last stand level in the game. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel and decided to play with Snow Peas, as I was sure that they could stop the entire zombie horde. De facto, it was the last day of ancient Egypt, because the fight with Dr. Zambas didn't contain any ice plants except for the Iceberg Ledges. Day 25 was beaten from the very first attempt, and I wish we could do it with only ice plants. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the Pirate Seas, another 25 levels, but now with even more ice plants. Here comes the Pirate Seas. It is the second world of our time adventure and another hope to find Dave's taco. So let's try to search for the dead man's booty. I thought we were trying to get back home and get your taco. But pirates, hang on to your parrots and peg legs. So that's how we started the first day of the Pirate Seas. It's one of the few calm levels where you can sit and enjoy the gameplay, feel the atmosphere, and look at amazing frozen zombies. I always found Pirate Seas really enjoyable because it seems to feel like a real time adventure, with ice plants playing an essential role in beating the world. Day 2 was quite similar to the first one, but this time we were introduced to a seagull zombie. I would suggest you to stay away from a flying dude because it's almost unstoppable. Not even the Iceberg Ledges can stop this angry bird. Just make sure to always have at least a single plant food to stop them all. On day 3 I felt some kind of deja vu, because it was a full copy of day 1. Yet, it's not a major reason to skip the entire level, so let me tell you an interesting fact about the snow. Did you know that a single snowstorm can drop up to 39 million tons of snow? I guess that's enough to build a giant pea shooter or snowy flopper. Day 4 introduced us to a buckethead zombie. Yet, the combination of snow pea and iceberg ledges was able to stop them because cones and buckets are forbidden on my ship. Not a single zombie can even think about getting my treasure. On day 5, I decided to have some fun, so I made Iceberg Ledges the captain of this ship, whose main goal was to observe the work of the Frostbite to ensure they spent 100% of their time defeating the zombies. Don't you still believe in the Iceberg Ledges supremacy? Day 6 was about freezing lots of different zombies, from swashbucklers to seagulls, who looks pretty funny when frozen. On this level, I started to feel the increased hardness of the pirate seas, because in ancient Egypt, the same levels were only at the end of the time adventure. At that point, the levels weren't unbeatable, but I spent a lot of time dealing with huge groups of zombies. On day 7, I understood how important it is to always have plant food with you, because it's only the proper way to defeat the barrel roller zombie. It's really hard for me to pronounce that. Anyway, after finding my new strategy against the canned imps, the level was successfully completed, and we received a map. To treasure, it says no zombies. Maps don't lie. We are gonna need a bigger boat, because Crazy Dave was wrong. It was a trap. Day 8 was the first level with the local pirate Gargantua. We did our best to save the treasure and the boat from a massive pirate attack. Unfortunately, it didn't contain any ice plants. Day 9. I guess we're back to our main strategy, but this time we had more water tiles than usual. However, it's better for us, because we can concentrate more snow peas on the main lanes to fight against the heavy zombies. The more I play this world, the more I start to love this snow pea. Day 10 was the first level with the 3 waves, so I decided to take some heavy boys with me. As you can see, the animation of Cold Snapdragon is still broken, but the damage output didn't change, so I don't worry about it. A long level is a good chance to share some feelings with you, so get ready to listen to me. Pirate Seas was always some kind of chill world for me, as everything was always so calm here, just like the local plants. It also looks like a real time adventure, where you have to search for the hidden treasure. Not every world can give me the same feeling, but Pirate Seas is one of the few that dives you into a special atmosphere. On day 11, I had to counter even more imps and seagull zombies. Besides that, it was a usual level, so let me tell you an interesting fact about the snow. Did you know that the most snow ever recorded in 24 hours in the United States was in Colorado in 1921, at 76 inches or 1.9 meters? Well, it's higher than 97% of the people in the world. That's really high. Day 12 was a coconut cannon minigame in which we had to destroy some seagull zombies. Back in 2013, the goal and the number of Angry Birds were way higher. That level annoyed me a lot in my childhood, so a few times I even asked my mom to help me to beat it. She also played PVZ 2 a lot, but I'll tell you about it a bit later. Day 13 was the first time we encountered my worst enemy. No, it's not the pirate Captain Zombie, it's Popka the Parrot. He tried to steal my sunflower, but was stopped by the brave shot of Snowball by Mistletoe. And don't look at me like that for using the sunflowers, because it was the main goal of the level. Thanks to that, I was able to plant a lot of mistletoes and destroy Popka right after entering the lawn. It's low tide and the waves are coming in. Grab your water wings, we are going to get wet, as day 14 is the last stand level. There are not so many unique options available for me, so I made everything as simple as possible. I already knew that combining cold snapdragons and snow peas is a win-to-win strategy, so I wasn't surprised by the results of that battle. Day 15 began with a new, cool body on my lawn. I got him for free, so it's mine for the entire level. The zombie waves are getting bigger and bigger, but my snow piece can still hold them. On day 16, I had to protect some sprint beans, or did they have to protect me? I didn't solve that question until today. This time, I had enough sun to buy the mistletoe because of the sprint beans' help. I guess it was one of the easiest levels of the Pirate Seas. Day 17 was pretty fine, and here I discovered that Boingseta is unbelievably useful because it works just like a sprint bean. It's probably even better because it drops the entire lane of zombies into the cold waters of the Pirate Seas. I couldn't even imagine that Boingseta could be so useful. On day 18, I had to defeat some zombies with pre-picked plants. Unfortunately, the plant list contained no winter mint plants except for the Iceberg ledges, so it's reasonable to skip it. Day 19 was a sun-producing level, which I decided to beat with some spiky ice weeds. It was the first time we used such an interesting and unique ice plant in our time adventure. I wish we could use it a bit more, but the circumstances doesn't allow us to do that so often. On day 20, I had to produce some additional sun once again. Well, I guess that's a good chance to tell you how my mom played PVZ 2. It was a long time ago, around 8 years ago, when we played together for the last time. We have been playing PVZ 2 together since 2013, during the best era of this game. My mom was a really cool player, and sometimes she easily beat some levels that I found extremely hard. By the way, she still loves PVZ 2 and enjoys what I do here on my channel. Put like on this video for my mom. You won't believe me, but day 21 was another sun-producing level, which I decided to beat with the help of the mistletoe because I love throwing snowballs at zombies. Here you can also see an impassable line of ice weeds who stopped all the weak zombies from eating delicious white snow. Day 22 is probably my favorite last stand level in the entire game, because here you can try countless strategies to defeat the imp cannons from a long distance. Just look how many frozen imps I got by the end of the level. What a great Minecraft reference. On day 23, I had to stop zombies from reaching the flower lane. You won't believe me, but Iceberg ledges saved me when I was one step away from failure. However, the rest of the level was quite boring because it was just a copy of one of the very first levels. Day 24 was about protecting sprint beans once again. I didn't find anything better than planting as many snow peas as possible. Fortunately, that worked, especially under the winter mint, when all ice plants turn into a killing machine, and even the Iceberg ledges does. Unfortunately, day 25 didn't contain any ice plants, so the fight with the Dr. Zambas was pretty usual. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the Wild West, another 25 levels with the main goal of getting the winter melon. Get up, my cowboys! We are moving to the Wild West, a land of dynamite and frozen chicken. A new world means a new hope to get back Dave's Taco. So let's find out who is the sheriff of this town. Chance of taco 0%. The margin of error 0%. I guess that our chances are pretty high. On day 1, we've got a cool buddy to our team. This green little dude was pretty useful throughout the level. The rest of the work was done by a single snow pea that I decided to plant on a minecart. Railroad. What a great reference to Minecraft. Well, destroying the entire zombie horde with a single snow pea wasn't so easy, but I managed to do that. Day 2. Here comes the Dynamite Man. Fortunately, he wasn't so dangerous to us, as we were able to freeze everyone around. But what impressed me the most was the Buckethead zombie on the second level of the Wild West. Your bucket is too bright for such an early time. Day 3 can be described with only one phrase: old-timey piano music downloaded. All that I can say about this level is that zombies are dancing way better than I do. Even though it looks pretty funny, we see a full dedication to the process. Not even a cold mist of Snapdragon can stop them from flexing. And it looks like we opened a portal to Creeperland. My uncle Milo used to have one of these. He called it a boombox. Actually, that's close enough. I will allow it. And not okay corral. That was the best possible way to describe day 4, where zombies gathered in a corral to play catch with us. Unfortunately, this game didn't contain any ice plants, so we skipped it. The Wild West can't stop surprising me, because on day 5 I saw the toaster zombie. Sometimes he wants to hide the toaster from me, which only makes him weaker. I think he doesn't want to share his fresh made toast with peanut butter with me. The number of zombies on that level impressed me, as I couldn't imagine that so many of them wanted to share some taco ingredients with me. Oh, day 6 was the first annoying level of this challenge. The main idea was simple. I wanted to beat that last stand level using only mistletoes, which can sound pretty easy, but it isn't. The main problem wasn't even the amount of zombies, rather the piano man was literally a headache. Every time he entered the lawn, the zombies started dancing. Sometimes it helped me, and sometimes it created even more problems. On my first attempt, just a single zombie survived until the end. The second attempt wasn't so great, just like the third one. However, I turned my headache into a great tool on the first one. I used the piano man to group the zombies and then destroyed them. It allowed me to survive until the end and successfully complete that level. Like cow tipping, zombie tipping is best done from the side. Trust me, do not try to tip a cow from behind. Day 7 was a pretty usual level as for the Wild West. We saw some tinky zombies, witnessed a great landscape behind the lawn, and received an interesting piece of paper. It appears brains are outlawed around here. Quick neighbor, play dump. We will follow your lead, user Dave. On day 8, I had to survive a massive zombie attack. Well, compared to some previous levels, this battle wasn't so hard. Even though a few gargantuars entered the lawn, they weren't seen as a big threat, but rather as funny-looking farmers who escaped from the burn. Day 9 was another great experience, because I decided to beat this level using only winter melons. Because of the huge lack of sun and the high price of the winter melons, that might sound crazy, but it wasn't for me. I managed to save enough sun for a single winter melon and started using minecart like crazy, because I had only one melon against 5 lanes of zombies. Later, I bought a second winter melon, which made my life much easier. By the end of the level, I had 3 of them on my lawn, and not a single zombie could reach my lawnmowers. Honestly, I didn't believe that it was possible, but it was really possible. Oh no. Chickens are the worst enemy I ever faced. Day 10 was about searching for the best way to defeat them. They pose a huge threat to any ice plant, so we had to find a few solutions for different situations. Also, the boing setup wasn't so good, plant food was probably the best way to freeze the chickens. So on day 11 I had to spend no more than 500 suns. It was the full copy of the first level, where I spent only 150 suns, so that was pretty easy. I guess it's a good chance to tell you an interesting fact about the ice. Did you know that the first refrigerators for homes were invented in 1913? It was a gigantic revolution, because the previous food-saving methods weren't so safe and easy to use. Day 12 was another not okay corral level that contained only lightning reeds with bloomerangs and no ice plants. I find this a major reason to skip the entire level. Day 13 felt like a tough nut, because it was a massive attack of bulls, toasters and creepers, who wanted me to lose some snow peas. They even tried to destroy me from the back of the lawn, but my old friend Hurricane saved me from the inner collapse. Well, I'm still not eaten. On day 14, I had to deal with lots of chickens and pianos. That was a pretty common level, so I guess it's a good chance to express my feelings about that world. The local music is an absolute banger that immerses you in the good old days of the Wild West. I also like the world's design and the atmosphere of the real-time adventure that it gives us. At the time when there were only 3 worlds, Wild West was my favorite one, and even today, it's one of the best worlds in the entire game. The local zombies also deserve a special mention because they produced a ton of memes on my channel. You know what, I love the Wild West. Day 15 was beaten using only Snow Pea. What an interesting fact about that level. Honestly, I don't have any other joke about the piano zombie or the upcoming horde of brain eaters. These levels can be tough nuts to crack, and I want to see the delicious creamy center. The point is not to crack them. That was an epic introduction to day 16 of the Wild West. So I had to protect Wally the Walnut and his banana cell minecart. Sometimes all you need to do is to throw a snowball on the toaster to make it work like an ice one. Does anyone want to try an icy toast instead of frozen chicken? Remember, the number is limited. On day 17, the Iceberg Lettuce was more useful than ever before because we had to stop the zombie horde from eating delicious flowers on the floor. I don't want to lie and say that it was an easy level, because it wasn't. I didn't replay it over and over, but the increase in hardness felt pretty much compared to the previous worlds of our adventure. Day 18 was the last end level, which is unbeatable with only snow peas because of the great amount of chickens and creepers, who didn't give me a chance to beat that level without a cold snapdragon. That dude is really cool. Day 19 was a usual level with some funny restrictions that I couldn't even reach because I don't use any kind of sunflower, so the number of suns I get throughout the level is limited. Fortunately, it's beatable with only snow peas. Day 20 was the final not okay corral level that didn't contain any ice plants. I guess you know the answer. On day 21, I had some nostalgic feelings about the Wild West, so let me share them with you. It was the final world out of the 3 original ones, and the end of the short-time classical era of Plants vs Zombies 2, without gargantuars, zombies, and a ton of overpowered premium plants. The game was as simple as possible, and I liked it. The strongest possible dude was the Bull Rider zombie, which annoyed me a lot over 11 years ago. So I decided to beat day 22 with only ice plants. This time it was way harder because we've got chickens. But on the other hand, we've got Iceberg Lettuce, whose plant food ability can easily stop them all. So I saved enough sun to buy some winter melons, and it worked. When something went wrong, I just used the plant food and froze all the chickens and the rest of the horde. Unfortunately, they got to one of my winter melons, but I managed to buy another one. Yes, I finished the level with a single lawnmower, but I did it on the first attempt. I was really proud of myself. Day 23 is unbeatable with only snow peas. Don't even try to do that, it's impossible. However, using the Frost Bonnet in combination with Cold Snapdragon will allow you to beat that level pretty easily. Sometimes I didn't even understand what was happening on the lawn. Day 24 was another major zombie attack. This time it was a question of protecting 3 Wallies simultaneously. The level contained every single enemy you can imagine, but even in such a bad condition, we managed to survive and protect everyone, even my snow peas. Chili Pepper also played a key role in beating the level because someone had to deal with such a great number of enemies. Now, I guess that the goal of finding Dave's Taco is closer than ever before. And we also received the final ice plant in our snow collection, the Wintermelon, the king of ice himself. Unfortunately, day 25 didn't contain any ice plants except for a few wintermelons, so the fight with the Dr. Zombies was pretty usual. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the Frostbite Caves. Another 30 levels, but this time without zombie freezing. Well, I guess it's time for the ironic part of this challenge, where ice plants will fight against the ice zombies. It is the fourth world of our time adventure, and another hope to find Dave's Taco. This time we will fight against funny looking ice cubes and the zombified version of the Miss Salto. So let's find out who is the best snowball thrower. Brrr, it's colder than a polar bear eating an ice pop. We have traveled so far back in history, so we arrived in prehistory. Did you know that zombies can't freeze in the Frostbite Caves? On day 1 I discovered many things that weren't so obvious to me. At that time I had a unique chance to try out some of my main strategies to find out the best one for such a unique world. Summarizing the first level, I can say that this world will be way more complicated than all previous ones. On day 2, I discovered that Snow Pea isn't immune to the cold wind of the Frostbite Caves. Let's just say that I was impressed by that fact, because I thought that all of the plants from the Wintermint family were immune to being frozen. At that point I was still searching for the best way to deal with the frozen plants, because this problem would only increase over time. Day 3 contained a lot of spikes, fresh peas and cold winds of hurricane. Levels like these are a great chance to tell some interesting facts about everything. Did you know about the deleted minigame from ancient Egypt? Mummy Memory was a game about camels, where you had to find 2 similar symbols in order to kill the zombies. Unfortunately, some time ago, these levels were replaced with a basic one, making ancient Egypt a less interesting world than it was before. I miss the Mummy Memory. Day 4 was yet another level with lots of snowballs and prehistoric buckets. I decided to stay with the same old plans because there was no real need for strong boys who would clear the entire lawn in a few seconds. Nevertheless, thanks to its high reliability, I began to love Snow Pea even more. I'm starting to get cold feet about this place. Also, my feet are getting really cold. That's how we started day 5 of the Frostbite Caves. Unfortunately, it was a conveyor belt level without any ice plants. Mr. Floppa is sad about that. However, day 6 was an absolute mess. Thanks to the frozen sunflowers, we had a great chance to get some additional sun, so right from the beginning I started my special operation of melting the ice. Everything was going pretty fine until we passed the first wave, because the cold wind froze all the snow peas on my lawn right after that, and I had no instruments or plants to melt them. Thanks to the PopCap developers, I could pick only 2 ice brudas, so we had to choose some other plants on our list. Don't you find it strange that Snow Pea can be frozen, while Chill Boy called Snapdragon ignores everything? Sometimes the progress of the level was moving like a snow snail. Day 7 gave us a great chance to get additional support for destroying the snow zombies. Here comes the Split Pea, and today we will use both of his sides. This green little dude helped us a lot, as we could deal with the endless attacks of the tanky zombies. Does anyone know where did they get the cones in the prehistory? Cause I don't. On day 8, I had to punch zombies with the help of a bong chai. The level contained lots of peppers, cabbages, nuts and potato mines, but only a few hurricanes. They don't even give me a single chance to beat some levels with only ice plants. Day 9 was the first level where we stuck with the Dodo Rider zombie. It isn't so dangerous, but you always have to keep in mind that not a single lane is secured because of the giant pigeon. The rest of the level was quite simple, and I spent most of the time planting as many snow peas as possible. Boys, there are too many conveyor belt levels in this world. That's how we started the 10th day of our frosty time adventure. This time it was about pea shooters. Lots of pea shooters. I couldn't even imagine that the prehistoric zombies were big fans of fresh peas. I knew about day 11 long before we entered the world of giant pigeons and rocky buckets. This is often called the hardest day of the Frostbite Caves, so I decided to take some heavy boys with me because the available slots were limited. Did you know that the Frost Bonnet is an amazing choice for the Frostbite Caves? Cause I didn't. On day 12, we had to prepare a good and reliable defense because it was the last stand level. I tried to beat it with only snow peas for the first time, but that didn't work because of the cold wind. However, the second attempt went pretty smoothly as I planted a ton of cold snapdragons, which are immune to any zombie attacks and cold winds. Day 13 was about protecting the weird flowers. That was the turning point of this challenge because I discovered the hidden power of Boingsetta, whose main purpose is to quickly break the ice on every frozen plant on the lawn. I'm getting more and more excited about this plant as it opens to me from the best sides, so go and get the Boingsetta. Day 14 was yet another level with pre-picked plants, so I guess it's a good chance to share my feelings about this world. Frostbite Caves is not my favorite world, but it's not the worst one. When I play it, I always feel that I missed something. It's hard to explain, but this feeling doesn't leave me every time I try to enjoy it. The Frostbite Caves is one of the few post-classical worlds in PVZ 2 that I find unfinished, as I wanted to see some more unique mechanics and cool plants instead of the pepper pult. On day 15, we had a unique opportunity to combine fire and ice, as we had to protect some pepper pools from the funny-looking ice cubes. The first attempt wasn't so successful, as lots of dodo riders broke my defense right in the middle of the lawn. However, that's not a major reason to give up, as I always have another way to beat the level. That day is probably impossible for the snow peas, as the amount of heavy zombies is too high to deal with. So Cold Snapdragon is one of the few possible options to beat the level successfully. As you may see, the ice plants are unstoppable. After successfully finishing the level, we've got this. It looks like a stone plate with some prehistoric zombies. That doesn't look so good to me. Day 16 was the middle milestone of the STEM adventure, where we fought against the prehistoric gargantua with lots of imps for the first time. Besides that, it was a usual massive zombie attack that contained lots of different plants except the ice one. The world is truly unfair to us. Day 17 began with the frozen chart guards and fume shrooms. Thanks to the Boingsetta's magic abilities, we broke the ice in a few seconds. With the help of the magic shrooms, we managed to deal with the frozen imps and destroy the zombie horde faster than usual. I wish these prehistoric zombies would just go back to their caves. User Dave, perhaps it's time to try a new tactic. Day 18 was another conveyor belt level dedicated to stunning. Everything went pretty smoothly, except for the last few seconds, as Bloomerang and funny-looking orange couldn't do nothing to the enormous amount of ice cubes. On day 19, I used the magic Boingsetta once again. It was a good decision, as I immediately started using all the given plants in the best possible way. Just look how 2 double sunflowers can change the entire game by giving an additional sun throughout the level. Now you can fully understand how important it is to always have some sun-producing plants with you. Day 20 was played pretty much the same, but this time without any sunflowers. Yet with the help of the winter mint, a lot of unbelievable things can become possible. Oh, and it looks like we received a frozen hand with the bone inside of the ice cube. On day 21, we had to warm up the zombies and the lawn. With the help of the fire pea shooter, we made a cool barbecue out of the local zombies. I guess it reminds me something. Guys, look at that. Frozen guacadilles. I must turn back my avocado friends into the warm waters of the big wave beach. And that was the main goal of day 22. Fortunately, they managed to escape the prehistoric ice stones and run away from the whistles, which are the local parodies of famous chickens from the Wild West. Day 23 was a great chance to plant lots of snow peas, as I had some pre-planted sunflowers that provided additional sun throughout the level, giving me a great chance to spend more sun than usual. It's hard to imagine the second part of the Frostbite Caves without Boingsetta, as it became the key plant at every level. On day 24 I had to produce some sun, but don't you think that I didn't make a challenge of it? Because I did. The main goal was to beat the entire level using only winter melons and the mistletoes as the attacking plants. If you think it was easy, no, it wasn't. The main problem was the cold wind, which froze more than 90% of my plants at some points, making my lawn vulnerable to zombie attacks. Did I tell you that I love Boingsetta? Because I do. It saved me so many times that I can't even count that number. Day 25 was a conveyor belt level, which at that point sounds like a joke, because there are too many of them in the Frostbite Caves, so I don't even have enough jokes, interesting facts or personal opinions to share with you. This world has squeezed all the juice out of me. On day 26, just a few sun shrimps made the entire level the day of my dream because of the great amount of additional sun. This level was once again about the great amount of snow peas in a combo with lots of Boingsettas. Day 27 was yet another challenge for me, as I decided to beat it using only mistletoe as the attacking plant. It was the hardest level of the Frostbite Caves, and a few times I was so close to failure because of the rutabaga, which is not the best plant you can find to defend. Even a hilariously looking gargantuar tried to reach my beat, but was immediately stopped by a few good thrown snowballs. Day 28 was the last stand level, and this time I used the winter melon to beat it. I had enough suns to purchase 5 of them and wait until the end to see what would happen with them. I failed a few times because of the cold wind, which can somehow freeze the winter melon, but once I learned the time codes of the level, I managed to complete it despite losing some lawn movers. On day 29 I had to play with the pre-picked plants, so we could easily skip that level. Unfortunately, day 30 contained no ice plants, so the fight with the Dr. Zambas was pretty usual. User Dave, our journey through time. You know that it's about more than just a taco. I suppose you are right, Penny, it's also about the ice plants. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the Lost City, another 32 levels, but this time with lots of additional sun. Boys, I guess it's time to check our maps, because we are ready to search for the mysterious gold of the hidden Lost City. It is the 5th world of our time adventure, and yet another hope to find Dave's Taco. Today we will receive lots of suns and great emotions. So let's go and discover the Temple of Bloom. Wow, welcome to the jungle. Lost City, this is it, Penny, we have found it. Where else would I found my lost taco except in a lost city? Your continued fixation defines all the logic or reason, User Dave. Today is going to be a great time adventure because we will have lots of sun without planting any sunflowers. That's how we began the first day of the Lost City, where I had a chance to receive additional sun by planting my ice boys on sun tiles. In my opinion, Iceberg lettuce is the best ice plant for that case, because it's free and it can freeze the upcoming zombie. We had so much additional sun that we were able to purchase a few winter melons and a single mistletoe. Guys, it's already my favorite world of this time adventure. On day 2 I received some red stingers, a few of which I decided to dig out to get even more additional sun, as they were pre-planted in a bad place. This level contained new zombies, some of which like to fall from the sky. This time I also had so much available sun, so I could surround the remaining red stinger with snow peas. That red little dude is mine forever. Day 3 was the first conveyor belt level of the Lost City, where we had to play with some local plants. This level was a nice break from the regular days, where we played with only ice plants. Oh, did you know that the snow pea exists in the real life? Here is what it looks like. Day 4 was the first appearance of the excavator zombie. He didn't cause us much trouble because we were prepared for his attack. The rest of the level was similar to Day 2, with the only difference being a larger amount of zombie in waves. On Day 5 I had even more fun than on the previous day, because it was yet another conveyor belt level. It contained lots of shovels and only a few Johnny the Walnuts. I didn't prepare any interesting facts for that level, so wait for the next one. Day 6 made me plant iceberg ledges in an interesting symbol. It looks like an arrow, but I won't skip the level because it was a good one. This time you have a rare chance to witness a combination of multiple ice plants on a single level. Don't waste your chance and leave a comment below about an epic moment. On Day 7 I decided to diversify the gameplay by adding the mistletoe on the lawn. Its snowballs were pretty useful, as they were the main weapon against the shovels and parasols, who attacked me in great numbers. Oh, and a single called Snapdragon was just chilling around, pretending he was playing the key role in the lawn defense. Don't act like he did. On Day 8 I had to survive the zombie attack with the given plants. Unfortunately, there was nothing I could do with only iceberg ledges, so I suggest skipping it. Day 9 was the spiky conveyor belt level, as it contains spike rock and endurian. Well, I guess it's time for an interesting fact. Did you know that the excavator zombie can lose his shovel? It happens when Bramblebush traps the excavator zombie, leaving the mustache man without his brave pal. However, that's not all, because now he can eat underground plants like spikeweed that zombies can't normally consume. Thanks to Zomvoid for such an interesting fact. On Day 10 I planted a cross out of iceberg ledges, and it gave me lots of additional sun. Besides that, it was the usual level, with the only difference being a gigantic number of snow peas on my lawn. I swear, I couldn't imagine I would be able to plant so many snow friends without any sunflowers on a single level. And that's another reason to love the Lost City. On Day 11, flying bugs were shown to us, so we had to do something with those damn insects. My main strategy included using snow pea in a combo with wintermelon, so not a single variation of zombie would get to my lovely iceberg ledges that produced a ton of sun. Don't you still believe in the iceberg ledges supremacy? Because I do. The rest of the level was quite simple, as flying zombies weren't so dangerous. All you have to do is freeze a giant insect. That's all. Day 12 was the first level, which included a big boy gargantuar, and this time the main goal was to produce 5000 suns without any sunflowers. It may sound crazy in any other world, but not in the Lost City, because we have the sun tiles. Here I didn't restrict myself to use the most powerful ice plants, because the level was really hard and I had to use all of my knowledge to beat it. I got really lucky in the end, as one of the gargantuars was saved to gather enough sun to reach the level's objective. Boys, I guess we did it. Day 13 was yet another conveyor belt level, which included melons, but not the icy one. Well, I guess it's a great chance to tell you an interesting fact. Did you know that the Japanese macaques can make snowballs? I didn't. On Day 14 I had to play with some local plants, and I really enjoyed it because I had a great chance to get revenge on those giant bugs. If you don't like those gigantic mosquitoes as much as I do, make sure to put like on that video. Day 15 was about protecting the AKs with the help of the Ice Gang. On this level, my iceberg ledges was producing sun like a real sunflower, allowing me to plant a full column of icy melons. Take that, golden shovel. After successfully freezing the entire zombie horde, we received an interesting map. It looks like a road to a hidden treasure. Well, looky here. Penny, it's a treasure map. My analysis suggests that the regions of that map are highly suspect. Temples, zombies, and brains. What could go wrong? Well, I guess everything, because on day 16 we had to survive a massive zombie attack using only the conveyor belt plants. It was easier than I thought it would be. They didn't even allow me to have fun with the local zombies. And where's my treasure? I guess zombies fooled me once again. Mr. Floppa disapproves of that. Day 17 was about destroying the impotents because they had bad intent against us. I couldn't produce so many suns this time as sun tiles were closely located to zombies, so I had to figure out a new strategy in case of sun deficit. The solution was quite simple, including only the winter mint and the chili pepper, whose freezing ability saved me so many times from aggressive Minecrafters. Day 18 was yet another conveyor belt level, so I guess it's the right time to express my feelings about that world. The Lost City gives me an unrepeatable feeling of uniqueness and coziness. I really enjoy the local atmosphere, the local zombies, and of course the sun tiles. The Lost City feels like a spatial time adventure, a real one. It also includes some great plans, which will be useful throughout your time travel. With that being said, Lost City goes into the top 3 of my favorite PVZ2 worlds. Day 19 was hard, really hard. Everything turned into a massive zombie attack, which I had to stop without any sunflowers. Of course, I have the opportunity to plant some snow peas, but not a single mistletoe, as I always need to have some additional suns to destroy the zombie horde immediately. On day 20, I decided to use some cold snapdragons to make the gameplay less repetitive and more enjoyable. I honestly believe that it was a right decision, as the number of excavator zombies was crazy, even for the chili pepper. However, not a single level of the Lost City can be played without an Iceberg latches, the main sun producer and the zombie stopper. And it looks like we received an amulet of ancient civilization. Is that a part of the hidden treasure? I don't know. Oh well, that's not what we thought it was. And here comes the toadstool, the champion in consuming the zombies. Day 21 was beaten using only his magical tongue, which delivered them right into his jaw. Did you know that the toadstool isn't a frog, but a mushroom? This game can impress me sometimes. Beware, user Dave, I detect reptiles. They are triggered by zombies or when you plant on them. And then they give you tacos? If you equate tacos with jets of flame and huge boulders, then yes. You won't believe me, but day 22 was actually beaten using only iceberg lettuces. Yes, we did it using only ice plants. That wasn't so hard, and you can try it on your own to ensure it's possible. What a great opportunity to beat a level with the help of the iceberg lettuce. Don't you still believe in its size supremacy? Because I proudly do. Day 23 was a pretty usual level except for the appearance of the Gargantuar, which could do nothing to me because I'm unstoppable. The rest of the level contained a ton of relic hunter zombies, but I managed to deal with them thanks to the winter mint. On day 24, I had to stop zombies from reaching the weird flowers. That was way easier than I thought it would be. Everyone needs a few snow peas and winter melons to be sure that your sun-producing iceberg lettuce feels safe enough to produce even more sun. On day 25, most of the plants were pre-picked for me, so I took only a heavy one to beat the level from the very first attempt. The chest-like placing of cold snapdragons was just another funny scene I made to enjoy the world once again. On day 26, almost every type of local zombie was present, but only a single sun tile was found. That's not good. The queen of this level was the mistletoe, which was protected by a huge number of ice plants. However, the iceberg lettuce was the main one, because he was the king. Day 27 was pretty much the same except for an enormous zombie spam throughout the level. Did you know that the Lost City was originally the 8th world instead of being the 5th like it's now? That's because previously they were placed in the order of the release time. Day 28 was yet another local minigame, which also included Iceberg glitches. Unfortunately, this time it's unbeatable without some other plans, as in the end we have got to the situation when the level became endless. So I had to plant some AKs and red stingers to destroy the tents. Day 29 was a typical Lost City level, containing every type of local zombie. I don't know what else I can say about it, because nothing has changed. I used the same plants, fought with the same zombies, and had the same amount of sun as usual. That was the most average level of the Lost City. On day 30, I couldn't plant anything on the weird slimes, but that wasn't a huge problem. Using lots of instant kill plants, we defeated the level and saved the lone movers. I was really proud of myself. On day 31, I had to beat the level with pre-picked plants, and I had lots of fun while doing that. My great army of toadstools has easily consumed all the zombies and even destroyed the tents. At the end of the level, something weird happened with one of my frogs, as its tongue was just hilariously stretching to nowhere. Crazy Dave would approve of that. However, day 32 didn't contain any ice plants, so the fight with the Dr. Zambas was pretty usual. All that discovering and still no taco. The search will no doubt continue, user Dave. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the far future. Another 25 levels, but this time we will fight against the robots. Welcome to the far future. The world of robots and technologies is waiting for us. It is the 6th world of our time adventure, and yet another hope to find Dave's taco. Today, we will be stuck with the futuristic sun bombs and magical power tiles. So let's go and discover the terror from tomorrow. The future? Weird, I thought I would be hungrier. After all, I haven't eaten in 4,000 years. No comments. The year is 2323, and the regular pea shooters are still relevant. Mr. Floppy approves of such a fashion. And that's how we started the first day of the far future, where we learned how to use the power tiles. I think the main goal of it was to find the third wheel planted on the green cell, and I guess that this pea shooter is an imposter, because he couldn't kill a single buckethead at the end of the level. After beating the first day, we unlocked a funny looking spoiled bean, a laser bean. On day 2, we were attacked by the shield zombie, whose holographic defense became a huge problem, as not many snow plants can deal with it. Unfortunately, the snow pea was one of them, as he really struggled to break the virtual shield. However, I found out that the Banksetta could break it, so it was once again the main savior of our IC time adventure. Day 3 was decided to be beaten with the help of the cold Snapdragon, as his cold mist is the best weapon against the futuristic zombies. With the help of the iceberg clutches, all the zombies were frozen right at the moment, and even the flying bodies had no chance to pass through the cold dragon. You know how sometimes suns are bombs? This is one of these times. On day 4, we had to survive the zombie attack with the falling sun bombs, which could be either a weapon or an option to buy some new plants. I decided to use them as currency to buy some cute looking mistletoes. They are finger licking good. This is definitely one of my favorite minigames in PVZ 2, because it allowed me to purchase 5 of them, so not a single zombie could even think about it in a snowball machine. Oh, and the power tiles are really crazy. Just try using them with the mistletoe. You won't regret doing that. Wait, is that a huge brain inside the weird jar? I spy with my crazy eye a UFB, an unidentified flying brain. Something more formidable than a brain lies within. Yes, Penny, you are right, because that's a terror from tomorrow. Day 5 was the first introduction of the Robocon zombie, an enemy that is 2 times heavier than the average buckethead zombie. That is strong enough. However, my favorite weapon in the face of the plant food was able to deal with a piece of scrap metal. Did I tell you that I love power tiles? Because I really do. You can pick your friends, but you can't these plants. But some of my best friends are plants? Mine as well, Crazy Dave. That was definitely the best introduction to the level with the pre-picked plants. This time, my green little friends had to deal with the upcoming zombie attack. Fortunately, we had Wally the Walnut to protect them, so I was sure that the victory was ours. Well, it's a good chance to tell you an interesting facts about the far future. Did you know that this world was released almost 11 years ago? That's more than 4,000 days ago, which is a lot. Day 7 was decided to be beaten with the help of the Frost Bonnet. Don't forget to turn off the game sound before using it, because this scene is really loud. Besides the awful sound effects, it's a great plan to deal against the Robocon zombies, who can't do anything to an aggressive flower. The Iceberg latches also played a crucial role in beating the level by freezing the giant cones at the end of the Frost Day. Oh, wait a second, is that a futuristic tablet with strange symbols? I want to see it. It says there's an error. Can you come here and fix it, Penny? Did you try unplugging and plugging it back in? Brains not found. Please reload brains. That doesn't sound good at all. On day 8, we had to survive a massive zombie attack with the plants from the conveyor belt. Don't you find it a great chance to tell you an interesting fact about the far future? Because I do. Did you know that this world's supposed to look a bit different than it is today? The beta map of the far future reminds us of a classical PVZ2 era from 2013. I miss those good old days of Plants vs Zombies 2. On day 9, I found the solution to all the problems we had before, and the name of it is the Winter Mint. This cute looking dude is literally a killing machine, as it allows us to destroy the entire zombie horde, which consists not only of the cone heads, but also of the Robocone heads, which are twice tougher than a buckethead zombie. On day 10, I decided to beat the level with only Miss Celto once again. I don't like futuristic zombies because they need more snowball shots to be destroyed. While the Discatron 3000 requires only 2 shots, the Robocon zombie requires a horrible 3 launches of the Miss Celto's snowballs. That's too much for me. I like to save some sun for a rainy day. It can get you out of a pickle or into an impeach. Boys, get ready for a great battle because it's our first futuristic Last Stand level. Here, I finally decided to use the winter melons because previously I had no chance of using them. It was the best choice you could ever imagine, as they could deal with the multiple zombies at once. Day 11 is definitely one of my favorite levels of the far future. Day 12 was the first level containing a big boy Robo-Gargantuar. Bro looks really terrifying. Anyway, I decided to use some called Snapdragons, so I would not only diversify my gameplay with a new ice plant, but also deal with the most dangerous Gargantuar in Plants vs Zombies 2. However, with the help of the Winter Mint, everything went pretty smoothly, so I couldn't worry about it. But always remember to freeze the Prime Garg, as his laser eyes are one of the most dangerous weapons Gargantuars ever had. Did you know that I like placing plants like chess figures? On day 13, I had a great opportunity to do that because of the magical power tiles. Besides that, we fought against the Mecha Football Zombie, which didn't pose any threat to us, as the number of plants on my lawn was too limited to play this funny game. On day 14, I had a limited amount of sun to spend, so it was the best possible way to use the mistletoe, as the snowballs could stop anyone, no matter how big or small you are. Protect those citrons. It takes a lot of pulp to stand your ground like that. Day 15 was probably one of the easiest levels we faced in the far future, as Citrons were a great weapon against the mechanized zombies. With the super efficient help of the Snow Pea, we managed to stop the zombies right at the beginning of the loan and successfully complete the entire level. Day 16 was yet another conveyor belt level, so it was a good chance to express my feelings about that world. Far Future is probably one of the most interesting and detailed worlds in PvZ2. It contains lots of unique mechanics, new zombies, and even a truly unique Gargantuar. I love the Far Future because it gives the same vibe as the first 3 worlds of our time adventure. The music is sick, the loan is stylish, and the plants are really cool and useful. What else do you need? On day 17, I had to survive the zombie attack with the given plants. It was a pretty good level with lots of sunflowers, but no ice plants except for the Iceberg ledges. Unfortunately, we have to skip it, as I didn't find any interesting fact for that level. On day 18, I had to produce 6000 suns, which was pretty easy because of using the power tiles. It was another great opportunity to play with some of my favorite ice plants, including the favorite winter melon, as this time I had more than enough sun to plant all of them. I think the local zombies were shocked by the amount of ice they faced today. Day 19 was another great level because of the great amount of sun. Just like a minute ago, I decided to beat that day using the winter melons as the main attacker. Did I tell you that I love those purple sun bombs? Because I do. With the help of the winter melons, we even broke a Robogarg, so it's a great weapon against everyone and everything. Wow, it looks like a good old starfruit. This time we had to protect this shiny little dude from being eaten by the metal boxes. Thanks to the magical power tiles, my lovely snow peas, and the wonderful chili pepper, we managed to defend our cute little friends planted on the banana cells. Day 20 was a really good day. Put like on this video if you like bananas as much as I do. On day 21, I had to produce 5000 suns, which sounded hilariously low at that point because of the power tiles, which produced so much sun that I was able to plant a full column of winter melons with the mistletoes and even gather an additional 2600 suns by the end of it. Am I a millionaire now? Boys, I guess it's going to be the final fight between the snow peas and the futuristic zombies, because day 22 was the last stand level, which I decided to beat with only snow peas. I couldn't believe that it was possible, but I managed to stop them all with only one casualty right in the middle of the loan. Fun fact, I spent almost 8 minutes trying to beat day 23 because I decided to do that with only cold snapdragons, as they weren't used much throughout this time adventure. Sometimes they needed the help of the Iceberg ledges to freeze the zombies and defeat them, because our cold dragons couldn't freeze anyone. Day 24 was a great fight against all kinds of zombies from the far future. This time our brave melons and shy snowball machines fought against every kind of zombie, robo-zombie and funny looking imps. It was so enjoyable to defeat them, as sun bombs gave us enough time and money to prepare a great defense against the terror from tomorrow. Unfortunately, day 25 didn't contain any ice plants, so the fight with the Dr. Zambas was pretty usual. Oh, that was hypno-amazing. I want to eat that hypno taco again. I need my time machine. What? Oh, wait a minute, what was I saying again? Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the Dark Ages. Another 20 levels, but this time it's gonna be really hard. Prepare your swords, fellow knights, because we are moving to the Dark Ages, a world of funny looking ships and mysterious stone graves. It is the 7th world of our time adventure, and yet another hope to find Dave's Taco. Today, we won't receive any sun from the sky, so we have to find a solution to such a problem. Without further ado, let's go and deal with the medieval zombies. What there? Who dimmed the lights? No one, user Dave. We have simply arrived in the Dark Ages. Sounds gloomy to me. Indeed, according to my research, a plague has swept this era. Also, the sun no longer falls from the sky. What? We need someone to brighten this place up. That's right, Crazy Dave, because the Dark Ages is a really dark place. It's honestly impossible to beat that world without any additional sun producers, since the Iceberg Glaciers still hasn't learned how to generate an icy sun. That's why on day 1 I decided to plant a single sun shroom to generate 100 suns that were spent on Boingsetta, which is able to break a delicious cobblestone. It allowed me to buy some snow peas to stop the very first zombies of the dark past. The rest of the level was spent on planting additional snow peas to stop the huge horde of coneheads at the end of the level. However, day 2 wasn't possible with only one sun shroom, as I couldn't deal simultaneously with so many zombies, so that's why I had to plant another one. This time everything went smoothly, but lots of bucketheads on the second level made me a bit nervous, as I couldn't imagine what we would see later. On day 3 I understood how bad everything was, because even 2 sun shrooms didn't allow me to stop the zombie horde, and necromancy made everything even worse. That's why I decided to test not 3 but 5 sun shrooms at a time, because I was really angry. Thanks to such a reliable strategy, we managed to beat the level with 3 columns of snow peas. Just don't be angry with me because of that. Data suggests the Dark Ages were a time of intellectual decline and moral confusion. That's right, Penny. It happened because the Western Roman Empire had fallen under the barbarian pressure. It's called the Dark Ages to compare it to the light times of the classical ancient world, where science was developing and humans had a reliable source of moral values. It gave us mathematics, ancient Greek philosophy, and lots of important things that we still use today. So you heard a small explanation of what the Dark Ages is, because no one will explain it to you except me. By the way, these facts were dedicated to day 4, as it didn't contain any ice plants, so I used my chains to tell you something interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. So here comes day 5, which is the first level containing the Jester zombie. This was the last time I used 5 shrooms at a time, because I was scared of funny moving clown. And the funniest thing for me was the way of dealing with such a zombie, as I managed to destroy it using only a snow pea, whose frozen peas are usually shot back, but not when it shoots a piece of ice. Chili pepper is also a good alternative to that option, but it's pretty expensive for me, requiring an additional 100 suns. On day 6 we had to prepare a good defense line, because it was the last stand level, the first one in the Dark Ages. It was a good chance to play with some expensive snow plants, and I decided that the mistletoe would be the best option for destroying the local zombies, as enemies like Jester are immune to the frozen melons, but can stand the good snowball throw. The Boingsettas were also pretty useful, as they allowed me to break delicious cobblestones and stop the zombie horde from reaching my lawnmowers. It was a really good last stand level. On day 7 I planted only 3 sun shrooms, which I found to be the perfect number to replace the suns that fall from the sky. I was once again impressed by the freezing ability of the snow pea, which stopped all the zombies from reaching the end of the lawn. Even the gravestones couldn't stop them from taking down poor zombies. The helmets of the night zombies were also a bad defense against the freezing machine. On day 8 I had to survive the zombie attack with the given plants, which is a good chance to tell you an interesting facts about this world. Did you know that the Dark Ages was supposed to have a different map? In files of the classical PVZ 2, some players found an unfinished map of the Dark Ages, which was different from that of the 4 previous worlds, reminding us of a modern world map in Plants vs Zombies 2. However, it included 30 levels, while the modern Dark Ages has only 20 levels, the lowest of all worlds in the game. I wish we could play the original Dark Ages. Day 9 involved dealing with boosted medieval zombies, which was also a good opportunity to try a cult Snapdragon in a new reality. Fortunately, those zombies didn't pose any threat to us, as all of their advantages were offset by the freezing ability of ice plants. I spent almost 10 minutes beating the level, so I could even plant a few missile tools to finish the zombie attack a bit faster. Meanwhile, a few Iceberg latches controlled the whole situation on the lawn to ensure everyone worked at 100%. Bro thinks he is the main character of the game. Anyway, after successfully finishing the level, we received a scroll. Let's open it. User Dave, we have encountered a scroll. I love side-scrollers, they are my second favorite kind of game. This is not a game, it's a piece of parchment bearing a message. We'll get a look at that, it's a Dark Ages email. Neato. By decree of Lord Zombos. Please leave soft brain on scene stop. Day 10 was yet another conveyor belt level and a great battle against the medieval zombies. We had a nice opportunity to play with mushrooms, potatoes and Johnny the Walnut. I think it's a good opportunity to express my feelings about that world. The Dark Ages always gives me mixed feelings. On the one side, we have a world with unique mechanics and good plans, but on the other hand, we see an unfinished world that lacks deeper development and truly unique mushrooms that weren't used in the first part of the game. The Dark Ages isn't a bad world, but definitely not a good one. 5 out of 10, if you ask me. On day 11, we had to fight with one of the most dangerous zombies in the game. The Wizard Zombie. This weird-looking old man can turn everyone into a sheep, so be aware of such a charlatan. Despite this horrible appearance, it was a pretty usual level of the Dark Ages. A typical one, I guess. On day 12, we had to protect those cute-looking mushrooms from being eaten by zombies or simply disappearing, just like I did after graduating from school and university. With the help of the Snoopy and Boinkzeta, everything was possible. Even old man Jenkins could do nothing to a frozen lawn. That was a simple guide to how this world should be beaten. After dealing with such a cool level, we received an Excalibur, a legendary sword in the Great Britain's mythology. Why would anyone go and stick a nice sword into a dirty rock? I understand it to be a test, User Dave. Only someone with great physical strength and strength of character may. I bet someone with a jackhammer could remove it. A crazy someone. An inelegant but no doubt effective solution to the test, User Dave. Day 13 was yet another conveyor belt level, but this time we had to play with a peanut. Did you know that it takes around 540 peanuts to make a jar of a peanut butter? Another fact is that I'm also a big fan of such a delicious product. Put like on this video if you like peanut butter as much as I do. On day 14, I had to produce 5000 suns without any sunflowers. Sounds a bit crazy, but not for me, as I have my good old friend Sunbean. He allowed me to get lots of additional suns. For example, I got 600 suns out of a night zombie with a full HP bar, which is really a lot. Thanks to such a cool objective of the level, we were able to play with my lovely wintermelon and even plant a full column of them. Just look at my lawn at the end of the level. This is what being rich looks like. Day 15 was my favorite last stand level, which I decided to beat with only snow peas to make it as hard as possible. Everything went so smoothly that by the end of the level, all of my snow peas were turned into shape, allowing me to chill for a few minutes and enjoy my new horde of grazers. Wait a second, is that Animal vs Zombies? Sounds pretty strange. Day 16 was one of the hardest levels we faced in the Dark Ages, because we had to fight against the King Zombie without any efficient plans to counter him. It led to an enormous amount of night zombies on the lawn, when none of my snow peas could deal with non-stop attack of helmets and wizards. However, with the help of the cold snapdragons and the right timing for using the plant foods, we managed to destroy them all by destroying king zombies as fast as possible. Day 17 was yet another level with evil potions. However, they didn't pose any threat to us as we were playing with the ice plants. Sometimes the level was really hard because of the Jester zombie, but for the most part it was enjoyable to beat it, probably because we used the icy boost of the Winter Mint, as it was the only possible way to beat the level using only the snow pea. On day 18 we had to survive the zombie attack with the given plants. This time it was about mixing butter, ice and peanut butter. Wait a second, is that a recipe for a tasty dessert? Because I want to try it. Besides a great cooking show, we had to deal with many zombies in seriously strong helmets, but it wasn't as funny as buttering them down. Day 19 was about protecting the magnet rooms. I was honestly surprised by my results, as I managed to beat one of the hardest levels of the Dark Ages from the very first attempt. Of course, I used the cold snapdragon and some other good plans, but it's allowed in my rules, so everything is fair. Always remember that ice is stronger than any hammer you have, even if you are gargantuar. Hey, Penny, what is plant food made of? I fear the true nature of plant food requires further analysis. User Dave. Excuse me while I run some tests. No problem, Penny, because day 20 was the fight with the Dr. Zombas. Unfortunately, it didn't contain any ice plants, so the fight with him was pretty usual. I have found no evidence that plant food contains zombies or zombie. Phew, plants shouldn't eat zombies who eat plants. Except Chomper, he has to. A dude needs the fiber. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the Neon Mixtape tour. Another 32 levels, but this time with lots of cool and atmospheric music. Bring back your memories, fellow musicians, because we are moving to the Neon Mixtape tour. The world of the 1980s and Minecraft is waiting for us. It is the 8th world of our time adventure and yet another hope to find Dave's Taco. Today, we will experience one of the hardest worlds in Plants vs Zombies 2 with only ice plants. Without further ado, let's go and enjoy the aesthetics of the 1980s. Flashback. I remember this decor from when I chased squirrels as a kid. Indeed, User Dave. We appear to have arrived in the midst of the Neon Mixtape tour. I suspect the musical tempo may affect the zombie speeds. I'm feeding the rhythm. That's right, Crazy Dave, because it's time to fight the zombies while listening to cool music. On day 1, the zombies were moving a bit faster than usual, but the freezing ability of the Snow Pea had turned them back to the hard reality, where they couldn't make a single step faster than a usual zombie, for example from the Pirate Seas. Don't ask me why I picked that world. As the result of our great fight, we received a funny looking parody of the Iceberg glitches. My headphones are definitely better. I believe special zombies may display unique abilities while their preferred music is playing. Do you mean they will jam their jam when theirs jam is jamming? Yes, correct. Yes and yes, User Dave. You know what? I like jam. Day 2 began with a great gift, a free fat beat in the middle of the loan. This time we had to stick with the first serious enemy of the new Mixtape tour, a punk zombie. Be aware of that guy because he can punch your plants out of the loan. However, planting a single snow pea on the same row is way more than enough to stop the music lover. The increase of hardness starts to feel pretty much here, as day 2 felt like day 22. I got a real cactus feeling about it, Penny. Of course, Crazy Dave, because day 3 was dedicated to cactus, an iconic PVZ1 plant. Unfortunately, this level didn't include any ice plant, but that's a great chance to tell you an interesting fact. Did you know that some cactuses can live up to 200 years? It means lots of them will outlive me. Mr. Floppa was shocked by that. Day 4 was beaten with the help of the cult Snapdragon to diversify my gameplay and rest a bit from using the snow pea, because the punk zombies don't understand the true power of a plant from 2013. On day 5, we had a great mission of defending Johnny the Walnut and a funny looking copy of the Iceberg ledges. My defense was built so well that not a single punk zombie could reach my bodies planted on the banana cells. Also, don't forget that the main sponsor of this level is the Winter Mint. If you have any problems with an aggressive neighbors, that is definitely your choice. Day 6 was yet another conveyor belt level and another chance to tell you an interesting facts about everything. Did you know that the Neon Mixtape tour was released almost 10 years ago? That was a long time ago. In a different life, I guess. Day 7 was a hard one, as the zombie spam was unstoppable, and the amount of available sun didn't grow at all. The Winter Mint was my last hope in such a catastrophic scenario, because I can't imagine beating a single level after day 2 without it. Oh, and the Iceberg ledges was just chilling around. Eventually, everything was so good that I didn't lose a single lawnmower. That is what a West success looks like. It looks like this world is only getting crazier and crazier, because day 8 began with a good punch of punk rock. This time we had to deal with 3 waves of zombies, but fortunately luck was on my side and I managed to stop them all using only ice plants. Also, the glitter zombie isn't a huge problem for me, as she isn't immune to the freezing ability of the snow pea. On day 9 we had to survive the zombie attack with the given plants. Unfortunately, it contained only Iceberg ledges, and I didn't prepare any interesting facts for that level, so let's just skip it. Day 10 was a classical conveyor belt level, so it's a good chance to share my feelings and opinions about that world. For me, the Neon Mixtape tour is one of the best worlds in Plants vs Zombies 2. The music, the atmosphere, and truly unique zombies makes this world almost perfect, but the local plants are trash. Except for the time warp. He's a good guy. No, it's not a joke. Day 11 was spent playing with the pre-picked plants. We did it once again. On day 12 we faced a tough guy, a hair metal gargantuar. He's one of the scariest bullies in PVZ2, but not in the case of the ice plants. Remember, don't give him a single chance to make a step further on your lawn, otherwise he will kick your plants out with the metal wave. Be aware of such a damp giant. Day 13 was a good day because it was the last stand level. This time I decided to beat it using only the mistletoes, as expensive plants are no longer available for us on basic levels. Surprisingly, it didn't work at all, so we had to find another strategy. On my second attempt, I decided to use the winter melon, which was the right decision. We managed to stop not only the enormous amount of zombies, but also to save all the lawnmowers. On day 14, we had to play with cactuses, so let me tell you an interesting fact about them. Did you know some cactuses can weigh up to 2000 kilograms or 5000 pounds? To put it into perspective, it's pretty similar to the weight of a fully grown male hippo. Even Floppa isn't as big as cactus. On day 15, we had to protect the purple version of the Iceberg ledges. At first, I thought it would be a great idea to use the mistletoe, but it was again a bad idea. That's why I came back to using Snow Pea, as it is the perfect synonym for the high quality products. It is finger-licking good. However, without the help of the Boeing Zeta at the end of the level, we would probably have failed it. Thank you so much, mysterious cabbage. Somebody passed me a note in a homeroom, Penny. It says to meet behind the bike racks at lunchtime for a wonderful surprise. I believe some skepticism about this note is in order, user Dave. I'm scared, Penny. It's 2 minutes to midnight. Be brave, user Dave. We will jill this ditty on rock and roll. Well, day 16 was a good chance to organize a good music party. However, none of the ice plans came to it, so we had to butter the zombies with the help of the kernel pult. I don't want to lie and say that it was easy, because it wasn't. I told you the local plants aren't so good to be used even in their home world. Day 17 was the day of the pop music, so we faced new zombies, defeated the old ones, and just enjoyed the second part of the Neon Mixtape tour. Remember, nothing is better than a column of snow peas defending you alone because they are cheap and fancy. On day 18, we had to deal with the rapper zombie, but just a few cold snapdragons were enough to stop the microphone dudes. I told you that ice is stronger than any kind of music because we can simply freeze everything down. Day 19 was yet another conveyor belt level, so that's a good chance to tell you an interesting fact about blueberry. Did you know that a single blueberry bush can produce as many as 6,000 blueberries per year? I guess that's way more than enough to cook lots of delicious jam. Nothing special happened on day 20, as it was the regular level of the Neon Mixtape tour. However, after finishing the level, we received a microphone. Karaoke time. At last, my tangerine dreams will come true. That's a good chance to record their greatest hits, like voice in that video. On day 21, we had to stop the zombies from reaching some weird looking flowers, and the only guy who could do that was the cold Snapdragon. Bro literally one-shot a giant music lover. Day 22 was the best conveyor belt level of all time because it included Minecraft and lots of Minecraft zombies. That level had a special atmosphere, an interesting mushroom, and many nerds. Pixel zombies are probably my favorite type of enemies in Plants vs Zombies 2 because they look as cool as cucumber. Day 23 included even more arcade machines. This time pixelated zombies were destroyed with the help of the Snow Pea, which you can also find drawn on the arcade machine. I thought the Neon Mixtape tour would be way harder than it is. Day 24 was yet another great conveyor belt level, which included all kinds of zombies we saw previously. It wasn't the easiest task to beat it with only snow peas, but with the help of the winter mint, we managed to survive 3 waves of zombies attacks and even stop the local Garg. Eventually, we left without a single snow pea, but with all the lawn mowers. Day 25 was dedicated to Chef Iceberg Ledges, who controlled the lawn for an additional 4 minutes to ensure that everything was fine and everyone was working hard. Bro thinks he controls the situation on the lawn without paying his bills. Bill Collector isn't happy about the Iceberg Ledges. On day 26, we had to protect some weird looking mushrooms, but thanks to the help of the punk zombie, they were replaced in a safe place, from which my cold snapdragons could easily protect them. Don't ask me how these shrooms appeared on the lawn. I didn't grow them. You can see that the level was really hard by the amount of plants I had at the back of the lawn, because most of my suns were spent on chili peppers. Day 27 was once again a conveyor belt level. There are too many of them in the Neon Mixtape tour. Anyway, at least I enjoyed beating it, because it included some cool mushrooms and my good old friend with a great smell, Mr. Garlic. Day 28 included lots of boombox zombies, which didn't annoy me at all. They were just chilling and listening to some good music. On day 29, I decided to use a heavy boy ice shroom. This sharp guy not only boosts other ice plants, but also deals pretty well with tough zombies. Even Gargantuar couldn't stand such a cold shroom. That's how cool it is. On day 30, I had to play with a limited number of plants, which I couldn't even reach as I didn't have enough sun to place so many of them. Most of the suns were spent on the chili pepper, so don't worry about the number of plants on my lawn. That frosty dude saved me lots of times from a total collapse. On day 31, I had a great chance to zap all the Gargantuars with the superpower of the electric blueberry. Unfortunately, the level didn't include any ice plants, so let's move to the final one. Ouch. Day 32 was the great fight with the Dr. Zombies. Unfortunately, it didn't contain any ice plants, so the battle with him was pretty usual. Yarps, that was close, with so many exciting timing and rhythm changes. I fear we only hit pause on Dr. Zombies' heinous deal. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the Jurassic Marsh. Another 32 levels, but this time with lots of stupid dinosaurs. Get ready for a journey full of monsters, my prehistoric friends, because we are moving to the Jurassic Marsh, a world of giant dinosaurs and delicious cobblestone. It is the 9th world of our team adventure and yet another hope to find Dave's Taco. Today, we will have lots of fun while dealing with various dinosaurs and an insanely strong Gargantuar. Without further ado, let's dive deep into a new team adventure. Alert, user Dave, my sensors indicate we have moved millions of years into the past. Yubbers, that's before I was even born. Correct, we seem to have landed in some form of Jurassic Marsh. I knew I smelled more oxygen. That's right, Crazy Dave, because the local zombies are way tougher than all previous ones. Even day 1 of the Jurassic Marsh wasn't easy, as it contained 2 waves of zombies and lots of bucketheads with fossil heads. It was way more than enough to scare me, and that was only the first level out of 32. This epoch is known for its unusual life forms, user Dave. I know, gymnosperms, right? You were pretty close, user Dave, and that's not even a joke. I was thinking more in terms of saurians, user Dave, dinosaurs. T-Rex versus Paleoloxodon Medicus. Who would win? Let me know in the comments. Well, it was my introduction to day 2, which included our first dinosaur, a blue one called Raptor. This guy isn't the most dangerous one, but he can definitely cause us some troubles. Fortunately, I had a chance to try out the Miss Celto in a new reality, and it obviously worked perfectly. Don't forget about using the Ice Queen on that stage. Day 3 was the first conveyor belt level, so let me tell you an interesting fact about dinosaurs. Did you know that the first dinosaur was described only 200 years ago? In 1824, English naturalist William Buckland recognized a huge reptile that wasn't a known living species. The creature he discovered was Megalosaurus. I hope you enjoyed it. On day 4, I realized that the Snow Pea wasn't as efficient as it was in the previous 8 worlds, where he could easily destroy all the zombies by himself. The zombie spam, combined with the dinosaur punch, became a huge problem for our snowy friend. However, even that couldn't stop us from beating the level with our favorite pea shooter. On day 5, the zombie spam got even worse, and the Jurassic Imp wasn't the best present either. Without a normal amount of sun, it reminds me more of a survival game rather than a home defense. I just don't have enough suns to prepare any significant defense on my lawn. That's why I have to use the winter mint as often as I can. I can feel the ground trembling, Penny. More dinos? Indeed, user Dave. A herd of Stegosaurus approaches. Well, that's not a good news for us, because now we have to deal with them. And because of the rules of my challenge, I can't do nothing about them. That hurts me a lot. So, if they raise the rate, I'll raise it even higher. Here is the best plant ever created by Crazy Dave, the called Snapdragon. A bro finally made it back to his home. He's just a great answer to all of those stupid dinosaurs. Day 7 was a great conveyor belt level dedicated to the primal Johnny. Did you know that about 75% of hazelnuts comes from Turkey? Also, the state of Oregon in the United States grows many of them. On day 8, we once again played with the Snow Pea, as I didn't search for an easy option to beat that level. Also, the local cone heads looks pretty strange. I just don't like the primal cones. Day 9 was about playing with the local plants, and it was a great experience. I had lots of fun while making dinosaurs fall in love with me. However, even playing with local plants wasn't so easy, as reptiles made everything to push zombies forward to my lawn movers. I won't forget that. Day 10 was really hard, as it became the point where not a single strategy was working anymore, as we've got imposters at the back of the lawn. Since then, not a single plant has been safe because of the pterosaur and his love for delivering zombies straight to my lawn movers. The only way to beat the level was by digging up plants and then replacing them in the needed row and sell. Yeah, it worked, but we left with a single Snow Pea and the cold Snapdragon. 10 out of 10, PopCap. On day 11, I decided to plant as many cold Snapdragons as I could, as it was the only option to deal with imposters. Fortunately, most of them survived, and the level was successfully completed with the help of the Iceberg ledges. Don't you still believe in its supremacy? On day 12, I couldn't lose more than 6 plants, but at first I thought I couldn't plant more than 6 plants, and everything was fine. I would pay $100 to see my own reaction when I found an opportunity to beat the level right before failing it because of the primal gargantuars. Those guys are really tough, but I'm smarter, and that's why I beat them. Day 13 was a typical level of the Jurassic Marsh, and I have nothing to say about it. However, did you know I like Gangsta Floppa? I would hire this guy as my bodyguard. Day 14 was yet another conveyor belt level, which included my favorite grape shot. Nothing is better in this world than a good explosion of juicy grapes. There is no more place for an interesting facts, because the whole video will turn into a compilation of interesting facts. That's enough. However, day 15 was a hard one, as we had to protect Johnny the Walnut from the primal bites. That's why I decided to take the heavy artillery, the Ice Shroom. That dude can defeat any type of zombie, especially the heavy ones. He's literally a killing machine that nothing and no one can stop. Even the primal gargantuar was shocked by his toughness. Oh, and after successfully finishing the level, we received a meteorite. Look, Penny, a fresh star honky. A meteorite. Curious. My records indicate this should be bigger, like super burrito sized, more like super Seattle sized. I hope history hasn't gone awry. Interesting fact, that scene literally killed all the dinosaurs around 66 million years ago. It is called the KT Extinction Event, and I hope you find this interesting to search on your own. Day 16 was the middle milestone and the great opportunity to express my feelings about that world. For me, the Jurassic Marsh was never a favorite world, rather it was my least favorite one. I don't really like the dinosaur mechanics and the enormous zombie spam on every level, including a gargantuar, who is used like a regular zombie. Remember that the real hardness lies not in a brainless zombie spam, but in a good mix of various zombies and mechanics. Oh, and that level was really hard, because I spent around 20 minutes to beat it. On day 17, I had to deal with lots of prehistoric imps. Well, I almost lost a lone mover because of the lack of sun, but the chili pepper saved me from a total collapse. Day 18 included too many tanky zombies. This world had such a fast pace, so I couldn't even understand what was happening. Do you know I dislike the local bucket heads, as their buckets are made of cobblestone? Bro should have waited for the Iron Age to make himself a real bucket. Day 19 was a conveyor belt level that included a called Snapdragon, but unfortunately it is unbeatable with only a Snow Dragon, so I suggest you to skip that level. On day 20 I had to produce 2000 suns, so I finally had a great opportunity to play with some expensive plants. I also had to protect my sunflowers from the stupid dinosaurs, so the ice shrooms played the role of Johnny the Walnut. I definitely loved that level, as it was the first day that included a wintermelon, my favorite ice brooder. Even the local guard was shocked by my defense. Day 21 included a new type of zombie, which isn't a hard enemy, as he isn't immune to the frozen peas. At that point, it wasn't even a strategy anymore, as I was thinking only of surviving that enormous zombie spam with a limited amount of sun. Just try to beat these levels with only ice plants and you will definitely understand my reaction. By the end of the level, I left without a single plant on my lawn, except for free Ice Dude. Day 22 was my favorite type of level because it is the last stand level. This time I decided to beat it using the wintermelons, as I didn't want to think about using the snow peas, as I was really tired of playing with it. Fortunately, I picked a good strategy and the level was successfully completed on the first attempt. I was proud of myself. On day 23, I finally decided to try out the Frost Bonnet once again. I can't recommend using it on that stage, as it is too slow for such a fast world. One of the zombies has almost reached the lone mover, and the only thing that stopped him was the Iceberg ledges, not a Frost Bonnet, because it didn't even realize that the prehistoric zombie broke our defense. Bro is definitely outdated at the Jurassic Marsh. Thanks to such a cool plant, I lost all the lone movers. On day 24, things got even worse, as the snow pea boosted with the ice mint couldn't stop huge groups of zombies, so I had to use the heavy artillery, the ice shroom. Sometimes the dinosaurs were my allies, as they transported heavy zombies at the back of the lawn, so I didn't have to deal with them anymore. You can do some good things if you want to, giant reptile. Day 25 was the prime time of the Ankylosaurus, as he turned the terrible situation into a catastrophic one. He just pushed everyone to the beginning of the lawn and left me one by one against the heavy zombies. That's not fair. I didn't agree to play Plants vs Dinosaurs, I just wanted to play Plants vs Zombies 2 without dinosaurs in its name. On day 26, I almost failed the level because of the lack of sun, but fortunately the chili pepper saved me once again. At first, I thought I couldn't make it as the situation was getting worse and worse, but like I said, I was lucky, really lucky. Day 27 was my revenge on the stupid dinosaurs, as they could do nothing to such a tough plant combination. Called Snapdragon, boosted by the ice shroom and protected by the wintermelon, was the real stronghold against everyone and every type of zombie, including dinosaurs. Once they entered the lawn, they were immediately defeated. The level was beaten in less than a minute. On day 28, I decided to use the same strategy, but now with the sun deficit. It was a truly great decision, and I easily beat the level without losing a single lone mover. On day 29, I had to survive the zombie attack with the given plants. Here's a fun fact. One of the garlic costumes in Plants vs Zombies 2 references SpongeBob SquarePants, being the Glove World hat. Put like on this video if you like SpongeBob, because I do. They thought it was a really massive zombie attack, which was held by the toughest of all ice plants. Just try to replay it without a single sunflower to understand how hard it is, as this level had 3 gargantures at a time. On day 31 we had to survive the zombie attack with the Goon plants, but this time we finally had an opportunity to beat it with only ice plants, as the level included a good old called Snapdragon. That dude is unstoppable. Well, it was really hard at the end, and here you can see what it's like beating the Jurassic Marsh without a winter mint. I just hate a ticking rock. Day 32 was an easy fight with the Dr. Zombies. Unfortunately, it didn't contain any ice plants, so the battle with him was pretty usual. I detect an incoming meteor, user Dave. I advise immediate egress from the east time zone. Bye bye dinos, you will be birdies in no time. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the big wave beach. Another 32 levels, but this time with the fresh summer water. The tides are getting closer, my fellow swimmers, meaning we have arrived at the big wave beach. A world of beautiful sand beaches, squidwards and snorkels is waiting for us. It is the 10th world of our team adventure and yet another hope to find Dave's Taco. Today we will enjoy the beautiful landscape while dealing with various water zombies. Without further ado, let's dive deep into a new team adventure. Look at this beautiful beach. It's got everything a growing plant needs: sun, sand and lots of water. Caution, user Dave, my sensors indicate there are zombies on your beach, and for too much water, it will overwhelm the plants. No problemo, we will just lay down some lily pads. Then the other plants can ride the waves. Or, as the vernacular of this era goes, they can hand tan. Right on, Penny, right on. However, in my case, I'll do everything to prevent the usage of lily pads, because they can warm up the surrounding plants. They are the most dangerous ice plant in the world. That's why the first day of the big wave beach began just as usual, with planting the snow peas, the most reliable comrade in Plants vs Zombies 2. I really enjoy the summer vibe of the big wave beach, as it gives me a good, calm feeling while playing it. None of the other worlds can repeat such a unique atmosphere. User Dave, data suggests that we should beware of the tides. When the tide comes in, it will be a wipeout for our plant friends? Indeed, but the tide line indicates how high the water will rise. Plan accordingly. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. Who can explain it? I can try to do that, user Dave. It happens because the moon's tidal pull stays in the one place while the Earth spins around, meaning the moon's gravitational field affects our planet and the water tides. That's how simple it is. Besides such a great explanation, day 2 was dedicated to the mistletoe, because the local zombies had never seen snow, so it was a good chance to show it to them. It even saved me from losing a lone mover at one point, so that's a pretty useful plant in that area. Day 3 was dedicated to Chomper, one of my favorite plants in PVZ 2. I guess it's one of the best conveyor belt levels in the game because it's simple and it also contains lots of chompers, allowing you to try a plant that is finger-licking good. However, it didn't contain any ice plants, but I really enjoyed writing a script about it. On day 4, while being highly impressed by Chomper, I played with the called Snapdragon, whose ice mist could stop literally anyone. Even the low tide and its monsters could do nothing to such a reliable dragon. Besides that, I decided to decorate my lawn with some iceberg ledges, making it hard for zombies to reach the coastline, as the ice defenders protected it from the both sides. Day 5 was yet another conveyor belt level, but this time without my favorite Chomper. The level was entirely ruined because they left me one by one in a team with Johnny and Pea-Shooter. Those fellows were failing against everyone. On day 6, I had only 2 available seat slots, so I chose to take a snow pea and an iceberg lettuce, as it was the bare minimum I needed to beat the level. It was also the first time we faced a new tough enemy, the snorkel zombie, who is immune to the frozen peas while being underwater. That's not good in the case when lily pads are forbidden to be planted, but now it's not a huge problem. Of course, not without losing some snow peas, but the level was successfully beaten. On day 7, I had no safe cells, meaning I had to beat the level with limited lily pads. The mist cell tube was the best choice in this case, as it was the only option to reach the zombies in every corner of the lawn. I also found a legal way to get some additional space by using the plant food on a needed plant. It allowed me to plant some more called snapdragons and secure the weakest lanes. It was one of the best levels of the Big Wave Beach, as it combined real hardness with an awesome strategy. Day 8 was an awesome minigame, a bowling bulb level. It was an awesome experience, as I love bowling and those cute looking colored balls. Am I the only one who enjoys the local aesthetics? The Big Wave Beach background is the best in the whole PVZ 2. I wish I could play and see the whole picture while beating the levels, but unfortunately I can't. Day 9 was the first level with 4 waves, so we had to take it seriously. My main strategy didn't change, as Snow Peas is still the best option to deal with any kind of zombie. I found the only working way of dealing with Snorkel Zombie, and that's the Mistletoe, whose snowballs can easily take them down anywhere. Well, it's not perfect, but it is something. Day 10 was yet another conveyor belt level, so let me tell you an interesting fact about coconuts. Did you know that it's not a nut at all? Rather a stone fruit. So the coconut is in fact a delicious cobblestone I have always talked about. On day 11 we had to survive the zombie attack with the given plans, but this time everything was pretty usual, except for the surfer zombie, who appeared on our lawn for the first time in this challenge. He wasn't a huge threat to me, so the level was completed without any issues. Day 12 was finally a last stand level. So, on my first attempt, I tried to beat it with 3 winter melons, but it obviously didn't work. That's why I decided to subtract 1 melon and add 5 snow peas, which created a perfect balance on the lawn. Nothing and no one could break through such a reliable defense line. Even day 13 couldn't stop me from playing without lily pads. It was hard, but I used all the available plant foods to double the number of available lily pads to finally plant some snow plants. Luckily, I was expanding step by step, increasing the number of the mistletoes, allowing me to finally relax and enjoy throwing snowballs at the beach zombies. On day 14, I had to survive the zombie attack with the given plants. This time, a great combination of chomper and bowling bulbs allowed me to rest a bit from playing with snow plants. It was a good level, and chewing the zombies was the best part of it. Unfortunately, day 15 was the first level that was impossible to beat without the lily pads, because at one point the water line went right to the pre-planted potato mines on the banana cells, and I had no option to deal with so many snorkels at a time. Even the mistletoes couldn't save the situation, as the zombie hordes were enormous, so that's why we had to plant an additional column of lily pads was called snapdragons to ensure that our little potatoes were safe. Oh, and after successfully finishing the level, we received a bingo. Look, it must be time to play Beach Zombie Bingo. Bingo, user Dave, it's bingo. You already won, Penny? Wow, you are good at this. Something is weird about this game. Right, Chomper, how did you actually get there? Day 16 was one of the hardest levels in the game, but it was nerfed since I last beat it around a year ago. However, it is still a good chance to express my feelings about that world. The Big Wave Beach is for sure one of the best worlds in PVZ 2, as it combines good and unique mechanics, interesting zombies, and really good plants. I told you a lot about its atmosphere, but it's the thing that I love the most about the Big Wave Beach. Every time I play it, I remember going on vacations to different countries, which makes me feel really happy. Thanks for such a cool and unique world. PopCap. Day 17 was decided to be beaten with only the mistletoe, and it was a good decision because it turned a normal level into a hard one. At one point I thought I almost failed it, however we didn't lose it, as I managed to recover and stop all of them by planting even more snowball machines. Day 18 was dedicated to my little bro Crocodile. This avocado throwing machine is just crazy. All you have to do is find the right way to use it. Of course, the level didn't contain any ice plants, but I had a lot of fun while building my own crocodilian empire. On day 19, the snorkel zombies became even more annoying, consuming many of my snow peas. I couldn't forget that. However, the rest of the level was pretty usual, except for some annoying Squidwards at the end of it. Yet, I didn't lose a single lone mover. I'm still not defeated. On day 20, I used my chains to play with the ice shroom, as the number of available lily pads was limited. It didn't work like I wanted because the octo zombie destroyed the entire defense with his friends, and I could do nothing to them. I was losing it even before reaching the final wave, but after that, the situation became so bad that I had to restart the level. This time I played with snow peas, and it worked so well that I lost only one lone mover at the end of it because of the scary looking gargantuar. Did I tell you that snow pea is the most reliable ice plant in the game? Because it really is. Day 21 was yet another conveyor belt level, but this time I didn't prepare any interesting facts for that level, so I suggest you skip it. On day 22, I discovered the best strategy against the fisherman zombie, and it's called the mistletoe. Those stupid fish lovers could do nothing to me because I didn't plant anything on their rows. Yeah, I lost some lone movers, but I didn't lose the level. Take that, fisherman. On day 23, I had to defend the older brother of the Ice Queen, the banana launcher. This guy isn't so bad. He can also help us deal with some local zombies. However, even bringing one of the bananas out of the shore didn't stop me from beating the level from the very first attempt. It was a good try, fisherman, but the luck was on my side, so the upcoming waves didn't loot my tasty bananas. Day 24 was my favorite bowling bulb level. Did you know that the first indoor bowling lane was constructed in New York City in 1840? Well, Americans have been playing bowling for almost 200 years, which is a lot. By the way, I had a lot of fun while beating such a great level. Day 25 was the most interesting level of the Big Wave Beach, as I spent more than 5 attempts trying to beat it, not only with the ice plants, but also with the lily pads. This was a true nightmare for me, as I had to reach a few objectives at a time, making this level even harder. And every time something went wrong with this level. Once I even gave up and played it like a normal one, but then promised myself to come back and try it again. And I started thinking a lot. Algebra is like sheet music. The important thing isn't can you read the music, it's can you hear it. Can you hear the music, Robert? Yes, I can. So I started combining different ice plants, but the main one was the ice shroom. I had lots of trouble while doing that with lots of annoying zombies who tried to do everything to stop me. Most importantly, I did it without the lily pads, with a single goal of reaching the final wave and then leaving it one by one against the zombies, as the number of available suns was rapidly going to 0. So here comes the final wave. I left with 450 suns and a full health gargantuar. I thought I had lost it once again, but the winter mint, in combo with a single plant food, did everything I needed, and the level was finally completed. That was a really great adventure. It's time to launch some bananas because day 26 is dedicated to Johnny and his banana friend. Well, the mistletoe is still better than her older brother. I made many attempts to beat day 27 as none of my strategies worked. Yet the combination of ice shrooms with lily pads allowed me to beat the level successfully and save all the lone movers. I was really proud of myself. However, day 28 was really easy. I have nothing to say about it. Previously, it was one of the hardest levels in the game, and now it's just an average level of the big wave beach. That sounds kinda sad. Day 29 was my favorite last stand level, which I decided to beat using the power of the winter melons. Everything went so well that I didn't lose a single one, and I just enjoyed the work of my ice machines. Don't forget about the mistletoe, which also played an important role today. On day 30, I had to protect some delicious crocodiles planted on the banana cells, but it wasn't as hard as one might imagine, as I brought some tough guys with me, which allowed to build a strong defense and even defeat an underwater gargantuar. Day 31 was pretty easy, as I had to survive the zombie attack with the given plans, so such a level can be easily skipped. Day 32 was one of the easiest fights with the Dr. Zombies. Unfortunately, it didn't contain any ice plants, so we defeated him just as usual. A plant zombie romance? That's just crazy. And I know a thing or two about crazy. I concur. I suspect Dr. Zambos was attempting to sow seeds of this content. From now on, we are the only ones sowing seeds around here. Anyway, the key is mine, which means that we are moving to the modern day, the final world of our time adventure. This time we will beat another 34 levels and finally get our taco back. Get ready for the final time adventure, my fellow ice lovers, because we are moving to the modern day, a world of American football, and the new newspapers is waiting for us. It is the final world of our time adventure and the last hope to find Dave's taco. Today we will do everything to eat it once again after dealing with various zombies and time portals. Without further ado, let's smash the heads of the modern zombies. Aha, Project Paradox begins now. Timeline alert, user Dave. We have arrived moments before our departure. If my guess is correct, Dr. Zambos will attempt to prevent your initial taco consumption. Our journey will cease to exist. No! Oh, sorry, I was busy screaming. No, did you say taco? We must beware, user Dave. Dr. Zambos will surely deploy all his time war right zombies. Taco! Yes, user Dave, you are right. It's time to get your taco back. That's how we started the first day of the modern day, which seemed like a tutorial level. Just like always, I decided to begin a new journey with my favorite Snow Pea, as it's capable of fighting against every kind of zombie. We have also stuck with the first time portal from ancient Egypt, which didn't pose any threat to us as I was prepared well enough for its appearance. Later, we faced a few more portals from different worlds, but it couldn't surprise me because I already knew what to do with them. Oh, and the level was successfully completed. On day 2, we fought against my favorite camel zombies. Everything was fine until the octopus man appeared on the lawn. I didn't call any Squidwards to come on my lawn. It was so enjoyable to deal with the camels, as I haven't seen them for a few months. Even Gargantuar on the second level of a new time adventure didn't impress me, as I got used to deal with those giants in the previous 3 worlds. I don't think that anything can impress me now, as I have seen everything that this game can show me. Day 3 was a pretty funny conveyor belt level which didn't include any ice plants. However, it is still a good chance to tell you something interesting. Did you know that the modern day was released over 9 years ago? Meaning we haven't seen a new world in PVZ 2 for almost 10 years? That's a lot. When modern day was released, I was 12 years old, and now I'm almost 22. The time passes really quickly. On day 4, we saw some more annoying zombies from the Neon Mixtape tour, but fortunately, my snow peas were capable of holding the zombie horde at a large distance, allowing me to plant the Ice Queen, the missile too. That was the best possible way to deal with the local Gark. On day 5, we had to deal with the zombies from the Lost City. So, to make the gameplay less repetitive and more enjoyable, I finally decided to use the Ice Shroom in combo with called Snapdragon, as nothing and no one can stop such a reliable combo. It also allowed me to save some more suns to plant even more ice plants. That was a really good ferocity level. On day 6, I had to produce 4000 suns, which isn't a lot, but it's a good opportunity to substitute cheap snow peas with more expensive winter melons, allowing us to enjoy the ice show while dealing with some annoying jesters from the Dark Ages. Day 7 wasn't funny at all. I don't want to say that the hardness isn't cool, but this time we see just an annoying zombie spam throughout the level. Combining the most hated zombies from different worlds doesn't make the level hard, but instead turns it into an awful one. Remember that the real hardness lies in a good zombie combination with good wave proportions, rather than spamming everyone around. That's everything I wanted to say about it. Day 8 was a pretty cool minigame. 3 in a row, Plants vs Zombies 2 edition. It was honestly my favorite type of level in the modern day, as the rest of the journey wasn't so cool. Well, instead of complaining about this world, let me tell you an interesting fact about bananas. Did you know that bananas we eat today don't exist in the wild? This is how the real bananas looks like. There is not so much pulp, it isn't so sweet, and it has lots of seeds inside. So next time you buy them in the grocery store, remember what a huge pass bananas made with the help of humans. My sensors are picking up increased helium levels, user Dave. I suspect we may be facing one or more balloon zombies. I hate one or more balloon zombies. I totally agree with you, user Dave, as those flying bugs are really annoying. Well, our first contact wasn't the best one, as on day 9 we had to play with the pre-picked plans, so I had no chance to freeze a flame balloon. Anyway, the level contained lots of annoying zombies, so I wanted to beat it as fast as possible. Day 10 contained lots of heavy zombies that wanted to do something bad with my plants. One of them even tried to freeze my cold Snapdragon with melting snowballs, but that was definitely a bad idea. It was a horrible zombie spam, so that's why I played with some of the strongest ice plants. On day 11, we came back to using the Snow Pea as the main ice plant because of the angry grandpa from the Wild West. Old Man Jenkins didn't want to lose the war between dynamite and snow. Besides his appearance, it was a usual day in the modern day. On day 12, I had to lose no more than 10 plants, and I almost did it on the first attempt. However, a single cone hat didn't give me a chance to easily beat it, so I had to restart it. On my second attempt, everything went fine, as I was more accurate in choosing plants and using them on my own. Take that, cone hat. Day 13 was yet another 3 in a row minigame, so that's a good chance to tell you something interesting. Did you know that May 17th is the International Walnut Day? Let's celebrate it and eat at least a few walnuts this day to showcase our respect for Johnny the Walnut. On day 14, we had to play with some local plants, giving us a great chance to feed the Primal Imp with delicious garlic. Well, the stinky dude isn't as bad as I thought it was, so go ahead and play with garlic, as he is finger-licking good. Oh yeah, it was the level of the Lil Gark. Bro seems like an overgrown imp. On day 15, we had to protect the Primal Johnny, and the cold Snapdragon was for sure the best option for protecting our cobblestone friend. My snowboys were so cool that not a single balloon could go through them. Even Imp Cannon couldn't deal with the freezing ability of Chili Pepper. and that was undoubtedly the most unexpected ending of the level, as we received Taco. Is that the end of our time adventure? Look, Penny, my taco! No, user Dave, you must not. I detect high level of trappiness. But hungry Joe taco. Fools, you have fallen into my excruciatingly obvious trap. My vast and varied array of gargantures will pummel you into total oblivion. And then I get my taco? I don't know, user Dave, I would have given it to you a long time ago. Anyway, day 16 was dedicated to various gargantures, and currently it is the hardest mid-level in all PVZ2, as this level truly depends on your luck and only then on your skill. This level showcases all the problems of the modern day as a world. It doesn't try to impress you with some unique zombies or features while beating it. Instead, it tries to show you a fake hardness, which is the worst possible way to finish the adventure mode. PopCap developers had a great chance to finish PVZ2 with a great world with unique mechanics and zombies, giving us unique example of hardness we have never seen before. While the Shadow Plants were a great innovation to the game, the rest of the modern day is really bad, and it doesn't look like a final world of the time adventure. That's probably all I wanted to say about it. On day 17, I once again tried to beat the level using the mistletoe. I was surprised, as a single snowball machine could easily destroy the entire zombie horde without the major help of any other snow plants. That's why you should play with the mistletoe, as she is an ice queen, a real one. Day 18 was easier than the previous one, as the number of zombies was lower and none of them could pose a major threat to me. Day 19 was yet another conveyor belt level, but unfortunately I didn't prepare any interesting facts for it, so I suggest you skip that level. On day 20, I had to deal with a pretty strange mix of zombies from different timelines. Mixing the 1980s with 1850s wasn't the best decision, as I thought we were fighting at the circus instead of on a classical lawn. We even had to face a primal garganture that came out from nowhere. That was really weird. On day 21, the ice shroom suffered a massive attack from the all-star zombie. Nothing and no one could stop such a fast runner. That's why my favorite shroom had to play the role of the shield instead of the main attacker. At one point it became so crazy that I had to mow the lawn only to get rid of some annoying zombies. Day 22 was my favorite 3 in a row minigame, which I finished in less than 2 minutes. Well, let me share some feelings and thoughts with you while beating it. I still can't believe that it is the last episode of our IC time adventure. I started this challenge in January and finished in April. Almost 3 months were spent making videos about ice plants. That's crazy. We started this journey with 3000 ice brooders, and at the moment of recording this video, I've got almost 6000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for supporting me throughout this journey, my fellow ice lovers. On day 23, I combined 2 of the best ice plants you can find in the game, and the result was crazy. Although I lost some lawnmowers, I managed to stay strong against the tough zombies on the remaining lanes. I was really proud of myself. On day 24, I used the same tactic, but now with only one goal: to simply survive the level, as the number of all-star zombies was enormous and I had no good options to deal against them. Why didn't they create an icy nut, so every zombie that bites it gets frozen? That's how simple it is. Day 25 was a pretty interesting conveyor belt level, an unusual one. But unfortunately, none of the ice plants could be restored on the lawn, so we had to skip the level. On day 26, I gave the Frost Bonnet its second chance to show itself in the realities of the modern day. Unfortunately, this plant is weaker than I thought it was, so I can't really recommend you use it in such a fast and hard world. Despite this, only the dinosaur's appearance impressed me, as I thought they became extinct 66 million years ago. On day 27 I finally unlocked the Cold Snapdragon while playing 3 in a row. That was a large achievement for me, as I want to do everything to use as many ice plants as possible. Oh, did you know about the brown bear that lives in a desert? It's called the Gobi bear, inhabiting the so-called Gobi Desert in Mongolia. There are only 31 living individuals, making it the rarest subspecies of the brown bear in the world, and the only one that lives in a desert. Day 28 was spent gathering 3000 suns and playing with the winter melon for the first time in the modern day, as it's typically unavailable for me. However, Popka the parrot stole my sunflowers a few times, but the captain didn't make it as long as his feathered friend. Oh, and the whole defense held on a single iceberg ledges right in the middle of the lawn. Don't you still believe in the iceberg ledges supremacy? Day 29 surprised me with its gravestones, which the Boeing Zeta easily destroyed, and that cost me only 150 suns. P means profit. The rest of the level was spent fighting against the new gravestones and dealing with the all-star zombie, which didn't want to stop for a second. If losing a few lone movers is considered a victory, then I'm a winner. Day 30 was definitely the hardest level of the modern day. I failed over 10 times before finding a worker strategy for such a hard level. However, let me show you a working one. The first rule was planting the ice room on the minecart, as it was the only right place for it. Then you have to plant 3 cold snapdragons in the middle of the lawn to stop all the upcoming zombies, and the third rule: save as much sun as possible to deal against the gargantuars. You'll have to defeat lots of gargantuars, and that's not as easy as one might imagine. After the final wave, I left with nothing and started dealing with 2 gargantuars simultaneously. At one point I almost lost it, but then quickly recovered and finished both of them with no plants on the lawn. Day 31 was so boring compared to Day 30 that I have nothing to say about it. It was a typical level of the modern day, which had a bad ending before fighting with Dr. Zombies. Like, what's the point of making a filler level at the end of the time adventure? That's not serious at all. Days 32, 33 and 34 were spent fighting with Dr. Zombies. Unfortunately, none of them contained any ice plants, so they could be easily skipped. I don't think it's the best ending for the game, as it took me around 15 minutes to beat them all. However, after beating day 34, we finally got a taco with a waffle. It's even better than the one we consumed some time ago. There are no more keys or levels, there are only you and me, which means that PVZ2 was successfully beaten with only the ice plants. I wanna say many thanks to everyone who supported me throughout the journey. I love answering all your comments and I put all my soul into doing that, so I hope to see many of them below that video. This challenge showed me that everything is possible, just like my favorite song says. I doubled the number of subscribers on my channel, got tens of thousands of new people to watch my videos, and improved my English, so now it's easier for me to create even better content. Yet it's not the final challenge on my channel, as I have plans for making a few more in 2025, so be ready to watch new videos pretty soon. Sincerely, your favorite Iceberg.